I didn't leave Jesus behind. In fact, I love the image I have of a man who lived life as a rebel, as a politically aware, courageous man who wasn't afraid of people not liking him. No, I didn't leave Jesus. I just stopped using the word Christian. Do I read the Bible? Yes, I do. It's a compact collection of stories, lessons, history, poetry, and thought provoking discussion starters. Do I believe Jesus was a real man? Yes, I do. I believe the two most profound life lessons in all time can be attributed to him: love God and love your neighbor. Period. Do I believe Jesus ever cared about people's sex lives? No, I don't. I believe he understood human beings in all their shapes and sizes and configurations of ways of being on the planet and accepted, loved, and honored them as human beings. Do I believe he was murdered on a cross? I don't need to believe that for me to have a loving relationship with him. I am not one of the living in fear of hell people who believes that Jesus died so I could get into heaven. But I can believe that he was murdered on a cross because of historical examples that teach us that it was a horrific but acceptable way to exact the death penalty for people who threatened the government. And there's the rub. I love Jesus, I just don't use the word Christian anymore. Jesus never set out to begin a religious movement. His mission was to spread the word about how to treat one another and to have God as our central motivator for our decisions. His job wasn't to gain attention for himself. He didn't end up saying, "Worship me, I need your love and attention." No. His job was to point us to the source of everything, the infinite divine, the energy that surrounds us and lives within us. He was the arrow. Look here, he was saying. I can point you in the right direction, and that direction does not include greed, lust, murder, lying. I am pointing for you to follow me. Follow me. Don't fall at my feet. Don't spend your time singing praises to my name. Follow my example. I do try to follow his teachings. I do love that a person could live such an exemplary life of non judgment, of accepting all who came within his circle of life. One of my clergy friends calls me a Unitarian who loves Jesus. Another calls me a pagan who loves Jesus. You call me anything you like. I try to maintain a relationship with the Buddhist Eightfold Path, and I remain in admiration of the Sikh way of not asking for front page news coverage when they give their acts of service to the community. I haven't left Jesus behind. Now, I know some of you who watch God Talk struggle with your relationship with religion as a whole, with Christianity, and some of you struggle with Jesus and with people who call themselves Christian. Some of you struggle with other aspects of your spiritual life. So here are some ideas for you to chew on. Spit them out, swallow them, whatever makes sense to you. It can be difficult to define God. I was taught that God loves me no matter what. But I've also been taught that I need to behave in a certain manner or I will be sent to hell after I die. I couldn't make sense of all of that. How could a God who loves me send me to hell? This, in and of itself, is a reason to step back and wonder if God is being made up in the image that people need God to be. I have concluded that God loves me and loves you all the time, no matter what. No matter what. And that if we mess up, we will be forgiven and then given another chance to do better. I also wondered who figured out that Mary was a virgin. This is a tricky question because the Christian religion offers us more than a few examples of how we should use our bodies to interact with others. Reports in the gospel tell us that she was young. Mary was maybe around 14. She was a young woman who had never had relations with a man, and then her betrothed Joseph attested that he had never had relations as well with her. But who figured out the rest of her life? Who really figured it out? Now, I know I'm treading on some tender, tender ground here, throwing doubt in the face of some of the very sacred truths that we have been taught. The phrase Virgin Mary is a very dear, dear phrase to many of my friends. And for most of that, I am glad that there is a feminine energy that pulls them close, that touches them and guides them and is a role model for them. But the virgin part baffles me. Now, before I go on, let me remind you that I do have a strong relationship with Jesus, but it doesn't matter to me whether or not his mother was a virgin. Why it matters to the development of the Christian religion could be another story. You see, many ancient religions, the ones long before Judaism and Christianity, often held that their main character was half human and half deity. I mean, take a look at Zeus, the king of the Olympian gods in Greek mythology. He engaged with mortal women and fathered many half humans. They were also half deities because of him, and they were known as demigods. This placed them a notch above us mortals in the hierarchy of the human and God relationship. And that position begs us to revere them and maybe worship them as being more powerful, more intelligent than we are. So for us 100% mortals to know, and I mean with no possible doubt, that Jesus was to be the main character in the stories, he had to be placed above us. Above us in the sense that he was closer to God because he was God. And that allows us to worship him and to write down all the words that he said and call it gospel. This isn't anything that I was taught in religious studies. These ideas came to me as questions that no pastor in my life would or could answer. I sought out answers on my own, and I'm not there yet. I still have many, many questions. But right now, I'm at a place where I can leave the questions of hell and virginity and focus on the relationship I have fostered with Jesus and his lessons. What if I just made a commitment to living with a few guidelines that I know align with him? I wrote them down just in case you're curious. I call them things I know for sure. I know that Jesus is an example of a perfect way to live in harmony with marginalized people, with women, with children, with poor people, with tax collectors, with fishermen, with everyone. I want to be like that. I know that becoming more loving and less judgmental, less harsh, less materialistic is my goal. I want to not ask what someone believes or does with their body or who they sleep with. I want to ask, are you okay? Are you safe? How can I help? I know, excuse me, that the Bible contains a storehouse of lessons for human interaction, but that the words are not meant to be taken as literal quotes from the characters portrayed in the stories. I know that organized religions have caused and continue to cause great harm in the lives of many people due to the control that leaders want to have over others. When religion uses words such as obedience and submission, I know that control is behind it. I also know there are many congregations of people for whom this is not true, and they are the ones that are building our reality and our future. I know that God is bigger than this planet, the galaxy, all religions, and all people. I know that many humans have constructed God in the image that they need God to be, instead of accepting that God is the energy between you and me. I know that no religion has everything right. I know that spiritual energy can be shared by humans, animals, plants, mountains, clouds, and every other piece of the natural world. I know I'm supposed to publish a God talk every Sunday morning, and someday that might change. The Spirit guides me, pushes me, almost compels me to do this. Not because I'm a paid staff member at a church, not because I think I have answers, because I'm following the lead of teacher, idea presenter, and stirring up the comfortable, complacent souls among us and asking all of us to move towards love. Asking us to learn more about religions, more about spiritual guides and spiritual teachings, and then to discern what is our truth for each one of us. I can't tell you what is your truth. But no, I didn't leave Jesus. I just stopped using the word Christian. May my words and thoughts be of service to your own soul growth. Blessings on all.